Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show for Friday, January 31st, 2025. Welcome to another eBay video. In tonight's video, I'm going to be giving you two important updates. One, about the stupidest scammer I've ever run into in my 25 years on eBay. This is a continuation of what I told you last week. Number two, a final resolution of Charles Decker's $10,000 return. Both my story and his story have a rather unexpected ending, so I think you'll be interested in that. I'm also going to touch on eBay's winter seller newsletter that came out. And I should tell you before I forget, I did in fact get 2 coupons for my free Haagen-Dazs ice cream for that mislabeled ice cream that they sold me last week. Very weird, but very true. So that being said, let's get right into the eBay topics of the night. I'll start off with my story. Before I do any talking about it, I'm going to do a cutaway just to refresh you guys as to what's going on with this clown and to show you how he has flipped the script not once, not twice, but 3 times. He's changed his story 3 times. Take a look. Let's start off with a quick rehash of the case. Several weeks ago, I showed you this message that this person sent to me on January 15th. Hi, I tried canceling this order, but it didn't go through. I opened a dispute with my bank regarding this purchase. Please advise on how to return the item. You charged too much for shipping, and that was the reason for the cancellation. Thank you. Now, this person purchased the item and agreed to pay for the item and the shipping. He lives in San Diego, California, and the shipping was $15 and change. It went in a 16 by 16 by 3 box, 3-pound weight. So yeah, he's got nothing to complain about. Next message, the person then flips the script and now is claiming that he wants to return the item because it doesn't fit. I showed you this last week and I said to you guys, he's never going to return it because he didn't want to pay the shipping one way. He's certainly not going to want to pay it coming back, right? So a few days after I uploaded my last video, this happens. He opens a dispute. Now he's claiming the transaction was canceled. That is fraud. It started out where he claimed, if you remember, he didn't want to pay the shipping. Then he changed his story and he said the item doesn't fit his car. Then he changed the story again and said the transaction was canceled. eBay then closed the return. So basically, this guy dicked himself over, okay? Had he returned it to me, I would have to have given him a refund of the $20, but he would not have gotten the shipping back. Now I'm not giving him anything. eBay says I'm protected from this clown, okay, which is good. I don't know if the credit card company is going to side with him or not, because the tracking does show delivered to him. So I don't know if he has a leg to stand on with this case. I sure hope not. But I wanted you to see what I consider one of the stupidest people I've run into in a very long time on eBay. So yeah, he started off saying that he was going to do a chargeback because he didn't like the shipping price. Then he changed it to a return, claiming he bought the wrong size. Now if he would have left it as a return and actually sent it back, I would have had to give him the $20 back, but not the original shipping. He would have got something. No. Then he changes it and actually opens a dispute. claiming the transaction was canceled, which is a lie. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen, except I am sure eBay said they will protect me against this dispute. If the credit card company finds in my favor, that person should be kicked off the platform for attempted fraud. There's no other way about it. If any of you disagree, well, hell, I'd like to hear about it. But this has got to stop with these chargebacks. How many of you guys have ever bought something on eBay and done a chargeback rather than a return through eBay? Never. Never in my life have I done a chargeback. There's too much of it going on now, and there's basically a feeling of mediocrity. People feel like, I'll do a chargeback and get my money back and keep the item. Huh? It may work for you sometime. It ain't going to work when you're dealing with cute Joey. I'll see to it. Now, let's talk about the Charles Decker $10,000 return. When we left our story, we talked about the fact that the buyer, this bad buyer, had sent back the $10,000 item broken and missing parts. Charles provided pictures and facts and sent them to the eBay escalations team, the high value escalations team, and they said that they would get back to him, and they did. They got back to him the next day. I'm going to read to you now from my phone, which is something I really hate to do, but I think that in this case it's important that you know exactly what happened. The first message I'm going to receive came in on January 24th. This evening at around 5 o'clock p.m., eBay sent me a message asking me to explain in greater detail what exactly was damaged and or broken. I did so. Shortly after 6 p.m., I got a message back from them asking if I feel that $6,000 would be an acceptable figure to place on the damaged and missing items. I replied back and told them that I do believe that's fair. So it looks like that's the way they're leaning toward. I assume that an appeal amount that large would probably have to get approved by several levels of management. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. Okay? So the next message I received was on Monday that just passed. Charles writes, I got this email as of around 4:30 Eastern Time this afternoon. They have deposited the $6,000 appeal credit into my account, and I've confirmed it. I find this to be an acceptable resolution, so this is likely the end of this nonsense. I have the unit back here, despite the damages and missing parts this dickhead ripped me off on. I will do what I can to regroup and relist this thing in the coming days, but there's a lesson to be learned here, and things will be done differently moving forward. Although I've been made whole for the damages and headaches, it still doesn't solve the root problem. I really hope that eBay does better and does something to sanction these bad buyers. But you know as well as I do, they won't. Cases like this are exactly the reason why the fees keep increasing to make up for what eBay has to constantly pay out to pacify sellers when they encounter situations like this. Okay. All right. So, in a nutshell, let's look at the scorecard for the Charles Decker $10,000 return. Charles originally sold the item for $10,000. All right. The buyer paid on his own to come and get the item, truck it away. Then all hell broke loose. The buyer insisted on a full refund, which he got through eBay because he claimed item not as described. Okay? Anytime you claim that, it's a get out of jail free card on eBay. It's a golden parachute. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the buyer got his 10 grand back, but eventually had to spend to hire a freight company to come and get the item, and bring it back to Charles Decker. So we estimate that it cost the buyer around $2,000 for that. Okay? Charles technically lost $4,000 from the original 10, but he's got the old unit back he can resell and recoup probably all or some of that. So he won't be really hurting that bad, except for the aggravation. I still say, guys, do not accept local pickup on eBay, no matter what the amount. It doesn't matter if the buyer uses the QR code he did with Decker. It doesn't matter if the buyer leaves positive feedback he did with Decker. It doesn't matter if the listing says all sales final. You must understand this, and you get the customer to sign that, because he did with Decker. Item not as described cases trump everything. Okay? Obviously, the return system is greatly flawed. I've been saying this for years on eBay, and they don't seem to want to do anything about it. eBay is losing a lot of money, just like Decker said, on returns, fraudulent returns, scammers. eBay should prosecute this buyer that Charles Decker had. As I showed you the broken items, the missing items, that's theft, that's fraud, okay? They really should prosecute, especially for an amount like that. I also feel they should take action against my guy with the Volvo, who changed his story 3 different times along the way. To this day, I don't know if he really did buy the wrong size, or if he was pissed off about how much he paid in shipping. I just don't know. I probably never will know. But I do know that he's a 62-year-old man who lives in San Diego, California, which kind of surprised me, because usually I do very well with people from California, and people age 62 usually are not a problem. I never come out complaining against them. It's the older ones, the over 75 crowd, you got to look out for. So yeah, it's ironic that Charles said eBay will have to start increasing their fees, because guess what? Did any of you guys look at the Winter Seller newsletter the other day? They're increasing their fees across the board. Across the board, in all categories. I'm not going to bother to read everything, because I'm sure you guys have either looked at it or will look at it. To be honest with you, of all the things I've complained about over the years, one thing I've never really moaned about is when they increase fees. Not that I want to kick any more money upstairs, because I certainly don't. But I understand they have expenses. I get it. All right? It's expensive. Especially with all the executives earning crazy money. Hey, you get what you pay for, right? I'm sure you long-term eBayers remember the dark days of Donahoe. John Donahoe. God almighty. His reign was the absolute worst. eBay literally declared war on sellers. Once they got rid of Donahoe, for a while, it was like heaven. It was great. Selling on eBay was a pleasure. Over the last few years, we've gone backwards greatly, with just about every aspect I can think of. And I'm not even going to mention the fees. No. I'm going to talk about the undeserved negative feedback. I'm going to talk about the flagrant abuse of item not as described. To this day, you can buy a blue sweater on eBay with 1 button missing. Get it? Claim item not as described and type in, "You sent me a blue sweater with 1 button missing. How dare you? I thought I was getting a red one with all the buttons." And guess what? It will go right through. Right through. And if you call eBay or request a callback, the best case scenario they'll say to you is, when you get the item back, take a deduction for less than half the value. And let me tell you something, half the time that doesn't work. Because I've encountered times I wanted to take a nice fat deduction and it wouldn't let me. So that's the story with that. Let's talk about insulting best offers now. For the longest time, I've been getting people, a lot of people, offering me less than half of what I'm asking for. And as bad as that is, the last couple of weeks have just been awful. I listed an item earlier this week for $80, and it's a very much sought after item. I know that if I'm willing to wait several weeks, maybe even a month, I will get the $80. However, if somebody steps in and offers me a reasonable amount, I will accept the offer. If somebody offered me $70, I'd snap it up. If somebody offered me $60, I'd snap it up. It's like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Do you know I had a guy the other day offer me $20 on an item that's super hot, super in demand. I know I can sell it if I'm willing to wait. Naturally, I declined. And I wrote back, because you're such a cheapskate, I'm declining your offer and I'm blocking you. And you can't do a thing about it. And that's what I do. Hopefully, that will stop him from doing it to one of you. Okay? Another problem I had this week, this stuff only happens in eBay Motors, guys, so don't worry about it. It won't happen to you. I'm selling a hub for, let's say, $20 plus shipping. Buyer writes to me and says, and I'm not making this up, I'm really only interested in buying the center section of the hub. Would you sell me just the center section? And if so, I would like to buy 20 of them. I want detailed pictures of all that you have. Send them back to me and we can make a deal. He's basically telling me he wants to cannibalize 20 of my hubs and he only wants to buy the little center section. And he wants me to take pictures of every one. So normally I would block somebody like that, but this time, for some reason, I just forgot about it. I ignored him. The next day he sends me an email. And the email consisted of nothing but a question mark. Question mark. Day after that, he sends me another email. Consists of nothing but a question mark. So I tried to think of something interesting to write back to him. Obviously, I'm not going to do business with him, but I was thinking of maybe sending back an exclamation point. I don't know. I still haven't answered him. And I still haven't blocked him. I'm curious really to see how many times he's going to send me that question mark. So yeah, sales this week were slow as usual. I did have one good day. Wednesday was a pretty decent day, but the rest of the week was quite slow. I'm noticing lately Sundays are especially hideous. Really, really bad. Like slowness like I've never seen in my 25-year eBay career. I sure hope you guys are doing better than I am in that respect. Also, I'm not sure if you guys caught my video that I put out, I think it was Wednesday, of the tractor trailer that illegally got onto the lower level of the bridge. Right in front of me he did that. I knew exactly what he was going to do because traffic was just so bad for the upper level and the lower level was moving better for cars only. So I was moving over to go to the lower level and this guy goes shooting by me. I said, look at this guy. Headed right for the lower level. It is my belief, and I can't justify it, but I think that if a cop would have stopped him, the ticket for that is $1,000. That's what I heard a while back from somebody. That's only the second or third time I've seen a tractor trailer trying to cross on the lower level since they instituted the ban on 9/11 or after 9/11. And the reason they instituted the ban, in case you didn't watch the video, was because they were afraid that some kind of bad person will put explosives in a tractor trailer, which could do a lot of damage on the lower level and a lot less on the upper level. So yeah, I hope that clears that up. That being said, guys, I'm Crazy New York Driver, you're not. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys did well this week on eBay. Please feel free to share your comments, questions, and concerns on any of the topics I brought up or any topics you have. That being said, you have a good week. Rock on and peace.